last till roughly about 10 a.m. Our next writer, her name is Barbara Barrows, and she volunteers with Waterline Writers. She's helped us for a couple of years now, setting up, taking down, and a whole bunch of other stuff. She's a member of the Fox Valley Writers Group. She is in Fox Tales 1, which we did not bring copies of, but she is in that. It's available on Amazon.
Cards back there.
There's cards back there, right? And she has been writing poetry for 14 years. By day, she is a freelance photo researcher and a Jill of all trades, including working at Townhouse Books in St. Charles, the cutest independent bookstore in the Western Hemisphere. By night, she is a writer, abstract painter, and actor, most recently seen as Tatiana in Midsummer's Night Dream at the Arcada. For more information about what Barbara is up to, visit barbarabarrows.com and or reveriefair.com. Barbara, please.
Thank you. I should also mention that, like other people here, I'm also currently searching for more freelance work, but so send it my way. It doesn't have to be photos. Okay, so how's the volume on this? Can people hear? Okay. To BATV, and some of you, my apologies, I am going to have some language issues which are probably going to need to be beeped. I apologize, I just didn't want to, it just didn't feel the same taking it out. So there's that. And then this other thing is that I've been working on a series of, it's called Reflections from the Nursery, and I'm reinterpreting Mother Goose rhymes from a more adult perspective. And here goes. It's a little different than some of my previous stuff if you're familiar with that. This is What Goes Up. I'd like to thank your teacher, Mrs. Cooper, for inviting a few of us parents to speak to you on Career Day. As a nod to a motto that all mothers are working mothers, they have asked me here as a representative of those of us who have chosen to be stay-at-home moms. And so, let me get this here. Here goes. We really should have had 2 buckets as we climbed the hill, or corporate ladder. Use whatever metaphor you like, but 2 incomes are better than 1. Don't buy that the traditionalists are selling about what makes a happy, successful marriage is the husband working while the wife creates the home and raises the children. I did, and look where it's gotten us. These days, kids, it's all about survival. The job axe falls quickly and with little warning. One day he has the corner office, the next day there is a merger, and suddenly he is escorted from the premises and into our family room where he will spend his days watching ESPN on the flat screen, while we still have one since the house is on the market. I will be trying to spin years of volunteer activities into something resembling marketable job skills for a resume that I'm not even sure gets read in the black hole of online job boards and the non-responsive HR departments. Dinners will be at home. The invitations to black tie fundraisers declined. The tickets are too expensive, and besides, who wants to run into the women who laid off Jack to increase the company's bottom line and her bonus? On those occasions that demand our appearance, that new dress you see me in will be returned to Von Maur tomorrow. When you run into me in my workout gear, I will tell you that I grew bored at the gym and that I'm mixing up my workout by running outside now. It's better for my health. If I've got my Starbucks travel mug with me, I filled it at home and there's more than coffee in it. When our kids get invitations to birthday parties, we will regrettably have previous plans. Even the calls to just hang out will become fewer as our friends, now acquaintances, convince themselves our situation to be that of a contagious disease. So as I stand here before you, my message is to the girls. Don't be brainwashed into the fairy tale of a happily ever after. Hone some skills, get a job, and don't expect to be saved by a man. Maybe you save him. Oh, thank you. And if maybe a few of you could help Miss Cooper up. She seems a bit faint. So, and if some of these do sound a bit bitter, rest assured that I had a lot of fun writing them. So, this is Subway Musician. So you might have gotten what the last one was, which one that was. That was Jack and Jill. This one is hopefully a bit more obtuse. Subway Musician. The long, mournful notes reach me over the rush of commuters at the Red Line, the biting jamp of January magnified in the subway prized through the small gaps in my scarf, stabbing my neck, my feet numb in the cold slush. The musician, old beyond his years, evoking memories of miles, coaxes liquid gold from banged-up brass. Men and women, desirous to get the next train at any cost, press past me. I am slowed by the lingering notes of a funny Valentine as they shimmer echo off the grimy tiles and crumbling cement. The roar of trains drowns the last precious notes. Now I stand in the near-empty station. A homeless man, shapeless in layers, takes up residence on the lone bench and settles down for what sleep he can catch. My fingers enclose a worn dollar. I put it in the dirty bucket in front of the young man. Gaze askance, he nods, raises his horn, and blows warmth with old blues that float into my body, the notes so achingly lonely that my sadness can't compete, and I just ride the wave of sorrow till it crests and calms. For a moment I am whole, as the next round of worker bees start filing into the makeshift cathedral. That was Little Boy Blue. This next one is, we have a few things on our minds. Wait, is this better or worse as far as audio? Same? Okay. Oh, and it helps in this first part, if you can imagine that I am a hyper-intelligent, precocious 11-year-old boy. That would be helpful. Dear Mother Goose, we are in receipt of your brief biographical sketches of us and have more than a few passing comments regarding their accuracy, brevity, and overall unflattering message they send about children everywhere. I will go first, as she always wants to have the last word. I will skip the clunky rhetorical device of the first two sentences, but your answer to this question just baffles me. Snaps, snails, and puppy dog's tails? Just three things. I believe these descriptors were chosen for their alliteration and not based on any firsthand observations of boys. Snaps, can you expound on this? Clothing snaps, ginger snaps, or some 17th century definition that has fallen into obscurity? Only the second one holds any appeal for me, and even then, if I had to choose three objects to personify me, one would not be a cookie. A different version of this has frogs instead of snaps, which makes more sense, but is still fairly stereotypical. Yet another version of this has it as snips, which only conjures visions of vasectomies, so the sooner I drop this, the better. Now we are on to snails. Yes, snails are slimy, gross, and a bit unimaginative, especially when paired with frogs. I'll give you snails, but what the f*** do you mean by puppy dog's tails? Seriously, I know you're trying to go for a pithy, fun rhyme, but what kind of monsters do you think we are? I myself know scores of boys, and none of them would choose a dog's tail over the actual dog. Let me reiterate, I think you got caught up in the internal rhyming meter and didn't realize how crappy the content was. Don't you realize these labels will follow us into adulthood? Feminists will use the labels as another example of the inherent brutality of males. PETA will launch a campaign against us with posters of bloody tailless puppies, and society in general will use this to excuse years of irresponsible drunken behavior until we wind up in our 50s, divorced, overweight, and in full existential crisis because we were never encouraged to define ourselves and choose labels that reflected our own individual personalities rather than those thoughtfully chosen by a maternal waterfowl. I personally advocate for a revision of this outdated, insulting, and limiting portrayal of youth. Yours in truth, Little Boy. Dear Mother Goose, you. We are not ingredients to be consumed, and don't even get me started on the everything nice shit. Little girl. Dear children, you realize I don't exist, right? I'm a construct onto which every European rhyme and story of a society making a transition from the oral tradition to the written word is lumped. As I don't exist, I'm not offended with the tone and vitriol of your letters, however well argued they are. If I did, there would be a bar of soap in both of your futures. Mother Goose. Thank you.